What's up guys, Matt the Riff Master here at the Thame Guitar and Music Fair, and we are here with
Tim from Fredric Effects.
Tim from Fredric Effects. Now if we could just pan down quickly and look at these pedals. I'm going to point to my one that I like, the Demon Fuzz, because it's got to sound evil, surely, the Demon Fuzz.
The Demon Fuzz is pretty full on. It's a crunchy kind of... It's not the craziest fuzz. The craziest fuzz is just called the standard fuzz.
That makes no sense.
No, not at all. But the Demon Fuzz is essentially electro-harmonics muff fuzz, which was a very popular pedal back in the day. And it's, we've been building those for a few years.
So where did this start for you? Building these pedals, like how long have you been doing it and where did the inspiration come from?
We've been doing it for about 5 years, and I started doing it when I quit my web development job and decided this would be a better way to make a living. And it's just sort of grown from there. And we've got a few stockists around the UK, sort of Regent Sounds, Vintage Guitar Boutique, Express Music in Coventry, loads of them, Coda Music, Vintage and Rare, and they've just sort of picked up on the brand, and I've got a few stockists abroad as well now.
Okay, so I see obviously you do fuzz pedals. What other types of effects have you got going on down here?
Fuzz, as you know, is the most important effect because everything else is boring.
I don't use effects, so I'll take your word on for that one.
Okay, no, I'm being facetious. There's a very nice smooth tremolo called the West Germany tremolo. I do clones, versions of the clon Centaur.
Right.
There's a zombie clon, which is a single clon in a small enclosure for only £125. Same with the Golden Eagle, and the King of Clon is 2 in 1 enclosure.
Wow.
I don't think anyone else does that, and it costs 225 quid because there's so much hand wiring in it that it takes forever to build.
So you do these by yourself?
Yes, and I outsource all the enclosures to a local company, and they do the powder coating in these lovely colours.
They
do this, and a different company in Leighton Buzzard do all the screen printing for me, and I design the circuit boards, and occasionally I get outsourced that as well.
Wow. So I do have a question. I've thought about this with a lot of pedals in the past. For example, the Demon Fuzz and the zombie one?
Zombie clone?
Yeah.
There's a zombie clone.
Where does the name come from? What made you choose zombie clone?
That's a good question.
Does it have anything to do with zombies at all?
Oh wait, to be honest, the zombie clone the clone is from the Clon Centaur. I don't actually know where the zombie clone name came from, but my partner Stacey, she did a lovely little zombie centaur guy, so we've just kept that on, and that's on the pedal. Others, like Do the Weasel Stomp, that's because it's based on a pedal called the Systec Harmonic Energizer that Frank Zappa used. And Frank Zappa did the Weasels Rip My Flesh album, which is, where the weasels come from that. And the Pocket Weasel, ripping his face, is like a cut down version of that, with a slightly wilder fuzz on it.
Right.
So the fuzz is more abrasive than the dancing weasels. The face ripping weasels are more obnoxious.
Okay, so if we could just take a quick look at the
You wouldn't want that really, would you?
What, the pedal or a weasel ripping your face?
The little guy, the weasel.
Yeah. Could we get a quick shot of that? Can we focus in on that?
No, you would much rather the weasels are dancing nicely than the face ripping weasels.
I like the face ripping, but maybe if it was like.
But it's good. This is like a fuzz, a germanium fuzz into which is kind of like a rawer, more 60s sounding fuzz.
Right.
But it's also got the frequency control. There's 2 different versions, so you can have a normal frequency control like you would get in a muff or something.
Yeah.
And a cocked wah, so it kind of makes like a wah-wah pedal. So,
that's cool.
So it's you've got 2 different frequency controls. And that call that a circuit snippet, that turns up again in this pedal. So you would have like the frequency control there, which by the flick of a switch you can have as a normal frequency control or as a cocked wah.
Wow,
and that's with a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well, like an envelope follower and 2 octave fuzzes. So that's the Cloak Audio Jackdaw, which is a kind of an offshoot, a more experimental brand.
Now I will have to see. Whenever I don't use pedals a lot myself. I kind of just plug in and play.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people do.
the times I have used pedals, the one thing that I always look for first is the switching. Okay, so I'm just going to press.
Yeah.
Reassuringly clicky. I like it.
But unlike a lot of true bypass pedals, these are actually slightly quieter than the ones that use those big blue switches.
Yeah.
They're so I use more reliable pedals than most. Some of these are buffered, some of them are true bypass. Doesn't make too much difference because all the buffered pedals use really good buffers, and sometimes it's good just to have a buffer in there as well.
So how long does it take you to put together one of these, typically, on average?
No time at all, really, because they all use separate daughter boards for the switching system,
Right.
and the jacks will be on one circuit board, and then the main effect will be on another. So a lot of it is once the boards have been populated, all the components are on there. They slot together, they slot into the enclosures, and then you tighten all the nuts, and your pedal's finished. So maybe populating the circuit boards will take a while, but then I'll do 20 at a time. So I'll be, working through the night watching Inspector Morse or something.
Smashing it out.
Just doing it, and
That's awesome.
and it's a better way to make a living, especially because I've got small children, than going to work in an office every day.
It sounds a lot more fun.
Well, it is. It doesn't. I'm not bored of it yet, and I've been doing it for 5 years, and that's more than I can say.
You play guitar, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's something you love. So I doubt you'll get bored of it, unless you can't come up with something new.
Maybe. Well, I do lots of things to keep it interesting, like the more experimental stuff, and I'm doing a new thing where I'm going to put some electronics in a guitar. I collect like East German guitars and weird sort of just European Eurodrec, I call it.
Right. Okay.
Stuff like Hagstroms and Framuses and Musimers. And at the moment I've got a Musima LG Eterna, which is a horrible East German guitar, but it looks cool as. And I'm going to put in some of these effects. I'm going to put in a preamp like the Accomplished Badger and a bit of fuzz, and actually have that on board. And a luthier friend of mine got to work on that last night and put in the battery box and some extra switching stuff. So that's just to keep it interesting.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have fun. Awesome. Very, very cool. Do you have a website?
We do. It's Fredric, Fredric.co.uk, and there's a Facebook and there's Twitter.
Go check them out, guys. All the links will be down below. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I can't remember what it is. It's on all the demos, and I've got a few demos that I did myself, and there's a few that are done by Christian for Magnetic Effects, who check his stuff out as well. He can actually play guitar, whereas I'm terrible at it.
Right.
He's done some really good demos. So, but they're all linked on the website.
Sweet. So guys, go check them out. There's some really cool looking pedals here, and maybe one day we'll get some on my channel to check out. Maybe the Demon Fuzz and the face ripping weasel, which could be quite interesting. Definitely. Right. So now at the end of the interview, I'm gonna say rock out, be awesome, and then we both go see ya.
See ya.
Yeah. Like really over the top, like you're going mad, like that weasel's on your face. Okay, guys. So as always, rock out, be awesome. See ya!